Hey there, friendlies. How's up? Welcome to the 23rd of June edition episode. I keep making that error of the Beer, Blades, and Bushcraft live stream. I hope that we're going to have a good crowd together here tonight because I couldn't find the notes about what I wanted to talk about tonight. So, if you are going to watch this time shifted to tomorrow or next week or later, thanks for spending some time even in that removed period. Excuse me. I appreciate the eyes, whether it's live or later. Hey, Tyler. So I was doing this thing earlier today while I was hiding from my kids. I have this daydream that a lot of people have about Of course, there's beer all over the desk. Of course. Wouldn't be a live stream with me if there wasn't. I do this thing, as I was saying, before I got so rudely interrupted by the beer, that I daydream about having won like $30 million. And it's funny where many of my friends dream about, I'm going to get an Aston Martin and a yacht. What I would do is find a piece of land with nothing on it, dig a well, build a cabin, make it off-grid. Maybe do the my self-reliance thing, video the whole damn thing. Of course I would do that. Come on, this is me we're talking to. Hey, Grace. Excuse me. I'm having some trouble breathing. It's hot as hell. There's a lot of pollen in the air, and my breathing issues are just reminding me that they're still there. Hey, buddy. Still here. Hey, Simon. Hey, Tenenbaum's here. Nice. And I daydream about how I would redo the garage with unlimited money. Like knock it down and build a dedicated workshop, lots of windows, get rid of the cinder blocks, build it out of, like timber framing and the whole kit and caboodle. For the cabin, if I was alone, I would just build a log cabin as rustic as I could. But as someone who's got a family and would eventually want like the wife and kids to come to the cabin, I do this thing where I balance what I dream about with what is a little more practical. Off the grid is absolutely non-negotiable. And in fact, my wife has a friend who has an off-grid cabin and said, it is possible. Because, at a cabin like that, you're not going to have big TVs, washer, dryer, dishwasher, like all the big vampires. So she said, yeah, it's totally possible, which is nice. I would do a mix of solar and wind, I think. If there's a stream going by, I would stick something in there as well, just to stack that in my favor as much as possible. Hey, Mark's here. How's it going? Just seeing who else is here. And again, if I was alone, I would just do a one room cabin with a loft, like Sean James did. But in a family way, you kind of have to build something a little bigger, to the point where instead of knocking down the trees and letting them dry for a year and stuff, what I might do is just calculate how many logs I would need. And I mean, in this province, there are companies that build log cabins. So I'm pretty sure I could just buy a shipment of logs or two from one of these places. Like I've driven past one of them, I think on my way to Oka, but I'm not entirely sure. But there's one that I see a lot, and the yard is just logs, It's a little less self-reliant than I would ideally go, but I'm also I'm not as strong as I used to be in terms of physical strength. And I'd rather just receive the logs and then do all the notching and hewing and all that stuff myself. Like I wouldn't want to buy a kit cabin or anything like that. Oh yeah, tonight's beer. This is by Bench Brewing Company. It's called Clean Slate. It's a saison, or what's it? What's a saison in English? I don't know. It says Brett Saison. It's a our Brett Saison is an homage to a historical Maple Grove School in Beamsville, Ontario, which is where the Bench Brasserie is today. This rustic beer, this vivacious rustic beer of a pale yellow color and medium density, has aromas of honey, pineapple, and white grape, green grapes. There's a lot more to it, but I'm too tired to translate. I can pick up the honey. It's kind of hoppy, but it's really light. I picked this up because I'm developing into someone who likes a lighter beer for the summertime. Once you hit fall and winter, I'm right back into the stout and the brown ales and stuff. But I figured I'd give this a try, and it's innocuous. It's easy drinking. It is 5.7% alcohol, 500 ml. It's a 20-cent return on that bottle. So let's not recycle that. Mark, happy Tuesday to you as well. But everyone in my family who's ever had a cabin, they've just bought like a pre-built cabin, essentially a chalet, whatever the hell a chalet is. Like a country house, a cabin. And so I don't know of anyone personally who's walked into the woods onto a plot of land and built a cabin before, like out of logs. We do know someone who has a log cabin, but he bought it. Obviously made by a company, not an individual. Oh, excuse me. Holy crap. Sorry, guys. Just like old times. Hold on. I could always read it entirely. No, I'm not going to read it in French. There's only, actually, right now, half of you are Francophone, so I could do that, but, do any of you guys have a country house? I mean, if Outdoor Dauber was here, he kind of lives in a country house, doesn't he? If Outdoor Dauber was here. Simo and Tyler and Tenenbaum. If someone told him to get his ass on here. Not hinting or anything, totally hinting. Tyler hasn't tried doing French in months. The secret of French, well, in Quebec, is that French and English are the same language with two different accents. Start a non-controversial subject. How is the weather in your area? It's hot. Right now, it's a lot cooler than it was earlier today. I'm just going to check. I know I'm looking at my phone, but I've been asked. Wow, right now it's 23 degrees. I mean, granted, we just had a thunderstorm, so that really, really helped. Because earlier today, it was stankin' hot. Tyler's in the country house now, yeah? Thank you, Tyler, for telling Outdoor Dauber to get his ass on here. Whoa, Tenenbaum is on the verge of having a summer house. Tell us about it, man. I want to know. I want to know everything. Okay, Tenenbaum will be here in 5. Yeah, to hell with the heat. I agree, Tyler. I absolutely agree. It is terrible. No good. In fact, I made this deal with Camille that if she didn't piss me off all afternoon, we would jump into the pool at like 4:35. Excuse me. Excuse me, guys. Holy crap. That beer is really So we went and jumped in the pool, and the pool was like 35 degrees. It was almost warmer than the air around us. It was, yeah. Camille jumped in and said, "Oh my God, Daddy." So I was like, "Oh no, not a cold pool." It's like, "Put your foot in." I put my foot in. I was like, "What?" So it was, I'm a real wimp when it comes to cold ass water. You know, I mean, we have, if I like dip a toe in a pool and it's like 20 degrees or less, I don't want to get in there. 35 was pretty warm though. Tyler says, here, I'm going to bring that up. By the way, I have only one of you was on when I first said this, but I don't remember what I was supposed to talk about tonight. I had notes somewhere, and I think I might have shredded them along with a bunch of stuff. So I have completely lost the the train for tonight. So if anyone wants to come on and just talk about anything that's not politics or like tinfoil hat stuff or guns, then that's fine. Tyler, man, makes you feel like passing out. Can't work outside. Yep, I get it. I have the same feeling. Tenenbaum says he found a place you like about 2 hours north of where you live. It's lovely up there with lakes and forests. I'm in the period where home inspections occur before contracts are signed. If you get this place, I want to see pictures. Now, 2 hours north of you, is that up in the Boreal then? Because I am dying for a piece of Boreal. But that's like a 5-hour drive from here, and I kind of got the wifely kibosh put on that. So I think I'm going to be stuck with finding something in the mixed forests that's like within about 2 hours of Montreal, I think. I might be able to push that to 3, but... Hey, Quebec Homestead's here. See, Quebec Homestead lives in a country house. Mallory, I was saying to the folks that I don't remember what the hell I wanted to talk about today, and I lost my notes. So I started off by just saying that earlier today I was daydreaming, as I often do, about like winning 30 million, buying a little plot of land, and building myself an off-grid cabin, like a bio. Guys, what did I say it was? A log cabin. I follow your, as you know, I follow your, the process of making your house into what you want it to be with interest, because it looks like a lot of work, but it looks like it's definitely worthwhile work. Everyone here has at least checked out Quebec Homestead's channel, right? I know I tell you guys this every chance I get, but especially if you're into homesteading, check that out. She also does live streams. Hey, Mallory, do you schedule your live streams, or do you just sort of do them whenever like the desire pops into your head? Hold on a second. Tyler had 6 hours of rain yesterday. What if I want to talk about how to origami a tinfoil hat? Tyler, I'm going to put you in timeout in about 30 seconds. My God, sinuses. Dauber's here. Good. He also lives essentially. You pretty much live in a country house, eh? I'm talking about log cabins and off grid and stuff I dream about. Tenenbaum says it's about 57 degrees north. I would not call it truly boreal despite the latitude. It's mostly birch and spruce. Birch and spruce is, I like that too. I do love me the spruce. My favorite trees are always the conifers. My favorite deciduous tree is birch. I've said many times that I love it when I'm looking at a dark coniferous forest and there's like a ghost of white just up, like, sun's going down and everything's getting all shadowy, and it's like all this dark growth, and there's like this streak of white, and over there's like 3 or 4 more. I think birch is one of the most attractive trees. I love the look of like the white paper birch, and how it feels. You touch the living trunk and it almost feels a little spongy, but not quite. Like you're not sure if it's a little spongy or if it's just because it's so smooth it's playing with your mind. And I carve my spoons from birch. You can make syrup from birch. You can tap it. But yeah, that sounds really nice, Tenenbaum. I can't wait for you to get that place. Send me pictures and make me jealous. Yeah, Quebec. Mallory says it's a lot of work. Yeah, I definitely see that. Okay, you're always at 10 p.m. on Wednesdays. I will do my best to actually check it out more often than I do then. Because sometimes I'm sitting here and I'm working and then boop. Oh. You'll sometimes just pop up, yeah. Yeah, Mark says, Simo and I were talking about some of the hurdles of having a backwoods cabin, rules and regulations like the septic tank and stuff, energy issues. The example, northern Quebec is mostly softwoods, which is lousy for heating. As far as the rules and regs go, the way Sean James got around that is by buying a piece of land in an unincorporated township. So he deals with a whole lot. Like he doesn't have the entire municipal level of rules and regulations to deal with. He's really just dealing with like anything federal or provincial. So that's one way to simplify it, at least. I mean, in Quebec, even the provincial, even the provincial is quite onerous. But my mother's calling me. She knows I'm on live streaming. She shows up in the side chat several weeks out of the year. Didn't answer that. Let me just sort of. Hey, Nate's here. How's it going, mister? I just shot another knot video for you, which should probably go up in 2 weeks because I have another video that should go up this Friday. I may shift that around. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just trying to keep up right now. Mallory says, I love birch too. Yeah, chaga. Although I am terrible at hunting for chaga. I just can't, like, I don't have the knack for spotting it, Yeah, the bark is perfect for all kinds of things. Starting fires, not the least of it. You can weave it. It's a great tree. It's a fabulous tree. Oops. Outdoor Dauber is asking if Mark is the one that told us about the Soviet pocket watches. I think that was actually it wasn't Anthony Henry. It was who was it? I don't remember who it was, but it wasn't Mark. Austin's Corner. Thank you, Simo. Those are disappearing fast, unfortunately, but now if you can. What are we talking about? I'm just going to reiterate another time here that I lost the trail before I started tonight's live stream because I don't know where my notes are and I don't remember what I wanted to talk about. So if you guys want, I'll just drop an invite in the side chat. And if you want to talk about anything homesteady or outdoorsy that's not politics, tinfoil hat crap, or guns, then we can talk. So I'm just going to drop it there. So that I'm not just boring you guys with my dreams of having a cabin or whatever all night. Outdoor Dauber used to work for a log home company. I bet you could have gotten one at a good price. Well, actually, especially when they went bankrupt. You've been busy feeding the bugs. Oh, were you out in the woods? Ah, Mallory got her drone up finally. Nice. How'd that go? Which one did you get again? The hold on. Where was I? Hey, Hawaii Volcano Squad's here. How's it going? Mallory says, I'm thinking of taking a 2-week break from YouTube to garden and get some awesome footage soon. Yeah, I definitely want to hear about your experience with that drone. I want a drone for very specific things. One of which is I want for my title sequence, I want just footage of going over a piece of preferably boreal, but any forest, like it's swooping by behind. Like 2 seconds of footage for that. You know, because I have a specific idea for something I want to do. But I don't see myself getting a drone anytime soon. Somewhere around here, I have a copy of the regulations in Canada, and you essentially need a pilot's license to fly one in most areas, unless you get that. Is it DJI made one? That's like whatever, like 1 gram below the weight requirements for the pilot's license. Scott almost built a Lewisburg. Let me see, because I'm behind on the chat here. So Lewisburg is that a what are you referring to there? No guns. No, I don't do gun talk anymore. It got really weird with YouTube, so I shy away from it. It's never been a major part of my channel anyway. I mean, I own 2 guns, but I don't. I'm trying to get my ass remonetized, and so I'm watching my butt in a big way here. Hold on. Damn it. Oh, you got the Mavic Mini, right? That's the one, isn't it? That's like 1 gram below the requirement, so you don't need the pilot's license for it. Is a Lewisburg a cabin? You know what? In Calgary, there's an entire neighborhood of Sears catalog houses. I don't know how many of you guys know this, but at one point, Sears Roebuck sold everything. Like to people going to the frontier, you could buy anything out of that catalog, including houses. They had several different kinds, from very, very basic to not mansions, but quite large and multi-storied. And when you ordered one of these houses, it would come in a train car. You'd meet the train. You and, I guess, buddies would unload everything, and everything was pre-cut. All you had to do was like hammer and nail stuff. You didn't even have to cut this stuff to size, or at least that's what the story is. I don't know if maybe you had to plane off some edges or something, but the whole idea was that these were houses that were essentially prefab that came in as base boards and everything. And I guess the instructions were, 10-foot cedar plank, X to Y goes, or whatever. And in the States, there's a group that's trying to hunt down the last of these and, take pictures of them and record them and stuff, because these houses are being knocked down. And they were a very big part of the Western expansion of both the United States and Canada. And in Calgary, there's an entire neighborhood of these. I don't remember what the neighborhood's called. It's not Sonalta. But it's just, if you know what you're looking for, these houses are fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. And like 100 odd years ago, an expensive house was like $6,000, right? But yeah. Yeah, anyways. I don't know why I just thought of that. Oh yeah, because I think Scott said he built the Lewisburg, and I'm imagining that might be like a house or a cabin. Hey, Tyler,
Eh,
how's it going?
not too bad. So yeah, I said it was at our country house. This is the place we're moving, but
Was that a hummingbird feeder behind you?
that there's one, and then there are also two more,
Okay.
and then there's Nick taking
Hey,
pictures.
hi Nick. So this is the
But
place you're moving to?
yeah, this is the place we're moving to. I don't know if the cows are out, but oh damn, the cows are so cute. No, you're talking about all the cabin stuff, and it just got me thinking. But being
Get back within range of your Wi-Fi.
Uh-oh. I'm kind of on service. Let me switch real quick.
Okay. Let me see. While you're doing that, I just want to make sure that I'm not Mavic Mini. Yeah, Mallory, I'm looking forward to seeing some of that footage on your channel. I'm really excited for you.
Better?
Nate's, yes.
Awesome.
Wait, we got to get Nate on to tell these stories. See what he says. He has a couple of good stories. One embarrassing one. Been out on Crownland a couple of times now. Nate, you got to get online, man.
We love the embarrassing stories.
Don't we, though? Outdoor Daubers garden is coming along. We've got ours is started, but ours is really small.
Ah, damn. We wanted to garden, but the move and COVID absolutely killed it, man. We even tried to put some in like bins and things, but just the stress of trying to move and moving plants without them dying and getting stressed was too much. So we don't have a garden.
Right. Well, there's always next year. How long? Did you buy or rent that place?
This is being rented right now, but I think the goal is buying.
Okay.
The only issue we're working on, because when you're out in the country, I don't know how it is in Kanakistan, but trying to get land here in the country, usually there's a minimum of land that you can sell parcel by parcel.
Okay. Hey,
and I think here it's either 2 or 3 acres.
Okay. I just want to say before we go too much further to that Hawaii Volcano Squad, that's a good phone. Those Galaxies are good. I mean, I'm team iPhone, but if I wasn't trapped in Apple's ego center, those Galaxies are pretty cool. Hey, Mallory, we got Nate. We got good crew on here. Is this better or is? Oh, there's no change. I'm trying to mess with the layout here, but because there are 4 of us, it doesn't make any bloody difference, does it? No.
It feels a little segregated now that us plebeians without webcams are on our own side.
It's like Tyler and Nate over there. Whoops, sorry, I mean over there.
There you go.
Mallory and me. Yeah, right? Confusing?
Yeah.
Boom.
It's pretty
These
weird.
These guys on phones? Yeah.
Hey guys, I on my first fly, I crashed.
Oh, dang it.
Oh, no.
I was like at 2 feet from the ground, and I was trying to avoid my daughter because she was running towards it, and so I bumped it into the barn. But
Now,
it's still working fine.
At the risk of sounding callous, if you hadn't avoided your daughter, she would have learned a valuable lesson.
Yeah, definitely. She might have.
Yeah, that sounded bad.
Sorry. Nate, you got stories? No, Nate froze. Did he freeze? I think Nate's freezing.
Same blinking.
So first, I think we had some audio issues last time. So can everyone hear me?
Yep. Yeah, you're lagging a bit, but yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you guys hear him?
Oh crap. Okay.
No, yeah, that was good. Up.
What kind of drone did you end up getting?
So I got the DJI Mavic Mini, and it's like way small. Like it fits in my hand, and then it pops out. I'm still getting used to it. I'm still not used to like opening it up.
As far as really slick gadgets go, that's up there.
Yeah, that's probably the one I'd go for because it's because, as I said, I'm sure that's the one that is just small enough that I don't need to get a license, like a pilot's license.
And it's really awesome. It's just that, you can't take it out if you have really high winds and stuff. Like, but I mean, it was a really nice day. Like today was perfect. And yeah, I like the image is incredible. I'd have to show you guys. I have a little bit of footage. I got my boyfriend on his skitter going out in the woods on top, and it was awesome.
And does that one do does that one have the function where it'll just follow you?
I think it does. I just haven't figured it out yet.
No.
Like I'm just really a beginner, so I'm still trying to figure out all the specs and all the gadgets.
Right. So Nate, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing, Jess?
Life's a nightmare, but I'm still here.
Yeah.
Last day of my daughter's.
How's young Indiana?
That's you, Tyler.
What?
That's you, Tyler.
How you doing?
That's me.
Young Indiana Jones.
Sorry, I heard bits coming from Nick's phone, and I zoned out.
Am I the only one who
I'm
got
zoned
that?
out. Is how I'm doing.
You look like you're in a pretty zen spot there. That's sweet.
Dude, my spot is very zen.
Nice.
There's
Where you at,
very
Tyler?
little to bother me here.
Oh yeah.
Wow, that's an epic place. Look at that
Yeah.
balcony.
Wow.
Where is that? It's still light out.
Yeah, this is Niles, Michigan. Just
Oh.
bottom left-hand corner of the mitten.
Nice. That's awesome.
It
Yeah.
is pretty zen. Yeah, that's a great way to describe it.
Love that porch.
Oh, dude,
Yeah, me
it's
too.
great. There's this really cool bench that's here that we're waiting on a repaint for, but it's one of these chain suspended ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a prerequisite. I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to have a porch like that without one of
Probably
those
know about the
swinging bench couchy things.
I just want to say, Scott, that would be an excellent name. I'm calling you Captain Nutsack from now on.
Pardon?
Didn't you see that? Nutsack rears its ugly head once more.
No.
I guess. Although, seeing as though I'm the one who started that, I feel like I should have dibs on Captain Nutsack, if only so I can refuse it.
Yeah, but he's already called dibs. You could be Lieutenant Nutsack.
Ooh, nope. Hard nope. That's worse than Captain Nutsack.
Mallory, I
How
don't
did
know.
we get here?
How did the Nutsack thing start?
So I started this when we were talking about haversacks forever ago,
right,
and
yes.
what your ideal haversack kit would be.
Yeah.
And I simply stated that in the vein of wax canvas and leather, Nutsack is a good company. And I had been waiting for you to say the words, Tyler, show us your nutsack. And then you said them, and I was satisfied.
That's hilarious.
Of
It
all the
came
brand
2
names in
years
the
later,
world.
but
Yeah.
That's a good setup. That's fair game for sure.
He waited 2 years for the to drop
2 years.
Yeah.
But he did it, and it's on YouTube forever now. So
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm trying to find that drone footage to show you guys. Hey, Jesse, did I hear that you're missing hours to be monetized?
Yeah, I've been riding like 80% for the past since they moved the goalposts on us. Actually,
Okay.
I was at 98% because I had a wicked spike one month, and then it just dropped right back down, and I've just been 80%. I'm not helping myself, right? I didn't put a video out this week. It's during the COVID thing. I'm really just trying to keep up. Trying to keep up, and I drop the ball every couple of weeks.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm just about to take a break here because I haven't got everything planted in the ground, and my kids are at home full time, and it's just been really crazy. So
My
I need
kids
to get
are home
stuff done.
too. My kids are home too.
Yeah, I know, Jesse. I know. It's painful.
rough stuff, man.
Oh God, it's horrible.
Well, I mean, Nick and I are home, and our fur babies are home, and let me tell you, all the relaxation and quiet country life and lack of planes and lack of sirens and perfectly good-smelling air, man, it's rough.
Yeah, that sounds terrible, Tyler. Excuse me while I...
Yeah, I'm just gonna
But seriously.
try. I'm just trying to find that clip of the drone that I can show you guys.
While you're doing that, I'm going to try to catch up on the side chat because
Yeah.
I'm way behind here.
Yeah, we're 11 behind,
You
actually.
guys have seen gonna see some behind the scenes.
Oh, Nate, here's a question for you. Mark is asking, how's the store doing?
Oh man, it's incredibly busy. It's insanely busy. It's ridiculously busy.
Are people
I think the conjecture that we kind of talked about kind of the drive for people to want to be outdoors after the COVID restrictions had lifted was entirely true and is now kind of unfolding in the 110th percent.
Yeah, I can well imagine.
Absolutely insane. It is. For us, our busiest months are July and August, of course, during a regular year. And by mid-June this year, we were up to July levels, even though we were working with reduced hours.
Okay. Wow.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, like we are going to come into a situation probably in the next 3 weeks where we are actually going to run out of stuff. And
wow.
The problem with that being is that we can't get more stuff because it didn't get made.
Right, because everything was closed.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I think what we're seeing up here is that we're seeing a large influx from the GTA, both in terms of people wanting to go camping and be in the outdoors, and both in terms of cottagers now fully kind of out in the open, enjoying their secondary property or whatever you want to call it. But I think also there's been a lot of exhausted resources around the GTA that are in the same position that we are, but they were in that position a month ago, and now we're filling a void for people wanting gear to get outdoors with. Now that the outdoors have quote unquote fully open, and the demand is crazy.
It's funny that you mentioned that about the GTA. By the way, Mallory's got some footage lined up. So as soon as I'm going to start that again. So as soon as I am finished with the statement I'm about to make, we'll bring that up. It's been a long day, folks. I just read on ctv.ca or com or whatever that they're closing the beaches on the Bruce Peninsula because the GTA has been essentially invading these beaches, and obviously no one's wearing masks. No one's, so they're afraid of all these filthy Torontonians spreading the disease. So they've decided to start closing the beaches again, which of course is terrible for the people who are local to those areas.
Yeah.
But what can you do? Mal,
I would say that this past weekend here, our store is right on the water. And when I had the chance to lift my head up for a moment on Saturday and I looked out on the water, it was literally a wave pool of every kind of watercraft you could imagine, all in one jammed area. It was absolute craziness like I haven't seen since maybe a July long weekend a couple of years ago. Like just wild. And wow. we did have to close the doors to the store on Saturday for quite a while because it was too many people.
Yeah.
Tyler,
what's going on?
I just ripped my earbuds out of my ear, dude.
Did you fall into a trap full of sticks?
No, but you guys did.
Buddy. All right, let's see Mallory's.
Did you hear the really funny ow?
You want to see that?
Yeah, I want to see Mallory's footage.
All right.
And we'll continue.
Try not to. Image doesn't look so like that good on StreamYard, but like on my computer, it's like really
nothing
gorgeous.
Looks good on StreamYard, Mallory.
Yeah.
We're stuck with, what is it, 720?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's just so amazing on my screen. Oh wait, let me fast forward here.
Pretty cool though.
I like that piece of land you've got. I love those trees.
Yeah.
You guys know me. I'm all about the conifers.
I was trying to follow him in here, and then I noticed I was too far away from the house, and the antennas were losing signal, so it went like, okay, turn around.
The longer I watch that footage, the happier I get.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, very cool.
I was just so amazed. That's my farm.
There it is. Okay, so that's your barn.
Yeah. Oops. Yeah, there's my shed, my barn, my house, my gardens out there.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just so amazing.
Nice.
So yeah, behind
Jealousy.
the scenes.
Yep. Massive jealousy. All right, I will take out that window so that we don't see your
So we had something kind of wild happen because we're out in the boondocks, obviously.
Yep.
But take a guess at what our Wi-Fi runs.
Oh, it's your Wi-Fi runs?
Yep. Just speed-wise. Take a gander.
I wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
Why is it fast? Are you running at like?
Is it somewhere between a DeLorean and a Ford Fiesta?
Well, it depends on what that DeLorean's being powered by.
It is considerably overclocked for country Wi-Fi.
Really?
We have a 2.5 gigahertz and we have a 5.
Yeah.
And the 5, this was on my Xbox. This wasn't even on my laptop. I clocked the 5 doing 100 up and 100 down and 85 up with 17 milliseconds of ping.
I don't have that. Even after Simone came and helped me set up my router and everything, I don't have that.
Like, whatever. Okay, so the 100 down is like, that makes sense to me, but 85 up, holy smokes, man.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I was showing all these like nice one Quebec homestead because I wasn't sure if Mallory had seen, but obviously she did. Okay.
You missed Scott going, there's no crying in bushcraft.
No, I didn't. Where is that? I was gonna bring that up, but I got distracted. There may not be crying in bushcraft, but there sure is crying at my house.
Yeah, I hardly even get out anymore. I just stay home and other than like the grocery store once a week, that's it still.
Yeah.
Everything still definitely feels like hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I just want to say what Hawaii Volcano Squad says. The foliage on the vacant lot surrounding my he's in the middle of I think you're waiting on escrow right now on the new place, right? Hawaii. He's selling a condo and buying a house up a volcano. I love the concept of living in a place that's surrounded by foliage too dense to walk through. That sounds delightful.
That sounds like trailblazing for fun.
Man, if my next neighbor was like a kilometer or more away, I would be a happy camper. Oh, yeah.
You would be an always camper.
Truth. Okay, Mark says Nate's embarrassing stories. Yeah, I want to get on here because I want to hear all about your recent trips and stuff.
That's why we're here.
Well, I live vicariously through Nate these days because he keeps hitting the bush.
Okay, so Jess, if you've been following along with my stories on Instagram, you've probably seen I've been out a couple times.
Yeah.
This is something I did not post in my stories because for my first 2-nighter on Crownland, I went to kind of one of my go-to spots where I was able to get off work early enough, and it's basically kind of like a well-known secret. So there's people on this lake that know about it, and there's some locals here in Huntsville that know about it. Other than that, it's pretty hidden. So, so basically, what I love about it is to get from my house to the point where I'm dropping my boat in the water is about a half-hour drive, maybe 40 minutes. And then it's about a 40-minute paddle straight across this lake into a smaller lake. The smaller lake is totally Crown land, and it has one campsite on the entire lake, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Perfect. So I got there in good time. Luckily, the site wasn't taken by anybody else. Shouldn't have been. It was a weeknight. This was a couple weeks ago, so the frenzy was pretty hot for everyone to kind of get out there.
Right.
First night went completely smoothly. Second night, second afternoon, I start to get into some beverages. Yes. It was, it's 26 degrees and sunny out. The bugs are almost, the bugs are non-existent in the sun, and this campsite gets good sun in the afternoon. and I'm enjoying life because I'm out for like a nice 2-nighter on this little lake, and there's just absolutely no one around except for me and the dog. And
Nate, I just want to tell everyone that I've just brought your Instagram page up so that anyone who's got the Instagrams
Gorgeous pictures. I'm on it right now.
knows how to find you. And like, guys, look at these pictures for God's sakes. You know?
Thank you. Oh, thank you, Jess. I appreciate it. The story. So I have no. First of all, I have no shame in telling the story. I'm a very fortunate person, as you will come to see. So it's about, and luckily I get about 1 to 2 bars of LTE service where this spot is, depending on where I stand and whatever. So I'm able to communicate with my partner back home, let her know I'm okay. You know, most importantly, let her know the dog is okay.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. And so I am prepping dinner, which at this point is going to be steak and potatoes. Perfect. So I throw the cast iron frying pan, on the grill, and throw the steak on, and I'm chopping potatoes, and I call her on speakerphone to let her know what I'm up to. Everything's cool. Yeah, had a good day. And I'm chopping these smallish potatoes with my big Mora Garberg. And
Are they like the fingerlings, those little guys?
Yeah. Little potatoes with a big
Minis.
knife, essentially. A really big knife.
I think I know where this is going, but please continue.
So I'm on the phone, and I'm a little, I've had a few adult beverages, and I'm
Oh boy.
slicing these potatoes, and I put my hand under this one slippery potato, and
Nate, no.
Oh God, no, Nate.
Yeah. and I put this giant knife through the potato, straight down into my finger and half into another finger, and just start spurting blood out of my finger while I'm on the phone.
Oh no.
And so
it's like, honey, I'll have to get back to you, okay?
Oh no, I start swearing immediately because I realize the severity of it has thrown a crimp in my plans to the degree that I'm going to have to do something about it, because it's literally, it's like squirting all over the bag that had my water filter in it.
Nate, no.
Oh God, make him stop.
Your blood must have been so much thinner too.
Well, yeah, exactly. My blood is thin; it's running freely, and I'm angry, which isn't helping because I just realized that it was the stupidest thing to do. And luckily, my first aid kit was very close at hand. Unluckily, I used up all the gauze in the first aid kit in about like 30 seconds.
Oh.
And so Christine is kind of.
You gotta cauterize that stuff.
Oh yeah, so my partner's on the phone with me, and she's going, okay, so what's going on here? So I tell her, and she's like, okay, show me. So I'm able to send her a photo, and she's like, oh my Lord, that's not good. I'm like, well, okay, so there's a problem here, because I'm either going to stop the bleeding and deal with it, or I'm going to have to get out of here by basically paddling with one hand over my head and leave all my gear behind, because it's not like I can pack up all my gear, half tipsy, and paddle across this lake at night to my car, which I shouldn't be driving at that point anyways. So, and this is where I'm a very fortunate person. And luckily my partner knows this area very well too, because like I said, it's a go-to spot, and it's a gem.
Yeah.
She actually threw one of our kayaks in the back of her car, drove, stopped at Shoppers, grabbed a whole pile of fake stitches.
Aww.
Came down to the put-in, paddled across the lake into the smaller lake, patched me up, and
unbelievable.
And then paddled home. And yes, thank you, Martin. I know Martin would have helped too. It was just, and honestly, I think, you know what, if I hadn't been on the phone with Christine at the time it happened, I probably would have called Martin.
I also want to take this chance to say hi, Martin. If you want to get in on this, I'll share the.
Amputate the neck.
Yeah, please amputate at the neck.
Oh yeah. So,
Only Martin could pull that off.
Well, you got a good
anyways,
partner there.
Yeah.
luckily she, and it's kind of embarrassing because here I am like trying to be like back out in the bush canoe camping for 2 nights, and my girlfriend paddles out to me to bandage my finger, which is bleeding profusely all over.
Why does it seem like these awful stories constantly start with a Canadian drinking alcohol?
Because we're amazing that way.
I mean, worst, okay, so this is one of my, worst case Ontario, I would have had to rip up my t-shirt and sacrifice a t-shirt and stop the bleeding, and at the end of the day, it probably would have been okay. And at the end of the day, I probably should have had an actual kind of stitch or 3. But yeah, bleeding stopped. It's healing slowly. It'll be fine. But it was one of those times where you kind of like look up and you're like, really? Did I just do that? Am I that stupid? I'm using basically a machete to chop up a carrot. And you're like, what did you think would happen? And it's just kind of one of those things where it's the closest tool at hand and it's the job you're doing, and you think everything's going to be fine and you're not paying attention, and then a second later you're just bleeding all over the place.
And then your finger's gone.
My left hand ring finger has a permanent smile at the tip now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I mean, I've got all kinds of scars from silly stuff like that as well. I mean, you guys actually saw this one happen on, while I was on here live.
Yes, we did. Was that opening a beer?
I was opening a beer with. Oh, Mallory, you weren't watching me at that point.
I wasn't there.
So I had not this one. I had one of my Moras. I'm like, because I'm so tough, right? Pop, tuck.
Oh no.
Fortunately, Simo and LT Survival were here, so they were both regaling the audience with some sort of story. So I just sort of ghosted, went into the back room, bandaged it up, ghosted back on screen.
If you would have known anything about show business, you would have batoned open that beer with a Canadian belt knife.
Yeah.
Right. You got that right.
Wait. Martin's got a stupid moment too. Martin, you got to come on and tell us. You got to come on and tell us.
I'll leave screen space for him. I'll hop off.
Excuse had better be
Yeah, I was just about to say that too. I need to hop off too. I need to go check on my chickens. I've got a really bad batch of chickens this year.
Hey, did you lose any that night? You thought you were going to lose 6?
No, I didn't lose any, but now I think it's just too hot. It's been too hot. I've been trying to keep them cooled off, and they're just like, their legs are just so weak. So I got like almost half of them are just having a hard time standing. So I don't know what's going on. I've never had a batch like this before. I think they're just done for. So we'll see.
How long until you know for sure? I guess when you walk in and half of them are dead, but I mean,
you could just let them die off, but I mean, that's sort of sad.
Yeah.
But I mean, when they're at that point where they just can't move forward and they just back up on their heels.
Yeah.
They're just almost no going back from there. So I have about half of them that are like that. It's really bad. I've never seen it like that before. Maybe there's something going on more than I don't know. I don't know.
Is it a hydration issue or a heat issue, or
I thought it was maybe a heat issue. Maybe they ate sawdust. Maybe they filled their bellies with something else. I just don't know. I've been trying to keep them cool. I got a good ventilation in there, open the windows, and it's just been so hot. Like I've never seen this heat before here, like in the high 30s, in the 30s, in the high 20s. It's like 31 degrees in the shade Celsius.
Yeah.
So I've never seen that before.
Been like that around here too. Yeah.
So
32.
early. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I'll let you go. But I sort of said not half jokingly that I got a buddy who's a homesteader in Saskatchewan, and I would love to have a panel talk with both of you on some Tuesday soon. So
okay.
I'll try to organize it, but I mean, everyone's so bloody busy that.
Yeah, I know. Like I'm just about to take a 2-week break here. So email me and we'll figure it out. Okay.
Sure thing. All right.
All right.
See you later, Mallory.
Bye.
But that would be a really interesting live stream. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, I think that would be really interesting. And my buddy Eric, who's a homesteader, he's a former Mountie. He's actually the reeve of his township or whatever. I don't know how small you have to be to have a reeve instead of a mayor, but and I don't remember where I met him. I think he just popped up on one of my live streams one night about 3 years ago. We started talking, and he's a great guy. He's a really nice dude. Really nice dude. And, he's working his butt off. And I respect people who work their butts off, Hey, Dennis is here. Dennis. Think we can get him to come on too?
Dennis
twist his arm. Twist his arm. I was just in an auction with him, so.
Oh, geez, Dennis, here I'm twisting your arm. There's the invite if you want it. So Martin, Nate has just embarrassed himself in front of.
That was amazing. That was amazing. It's funny. All week I've been wanting to get together with you. I wanted to hear about your trip and stuff. I had no idea that this had gone on.
Well,
and I tuned into this stream just in time to hear that story.
So Dennis, this wasn't the one from last week at the spot you and I both know. It's the spot from the other week that you haven't been to yet, but I've told you about. It was from 3 weeks. The story I'm talking about now is from 3 weeks ago. Yeah. It was my first. It was the two-nighter, my first one of the season, my first solo two-nighter of the season, and
okay, because I seem to remember seeing you. You had fingers bandaged at some point.
Yes,
and now you know why.
Okay. But I didn't know what had happened. It's hilarious. Yeah.
So did that end your trip though? Or were you like all tough and bandaged up and got back into the swing?
Well, no. So after my partner graciously decided, I think out of concern for basically my blood alcohol level versus my bleeding at that point, to paddle across this lake with fake stitches from Shoppers Drug Mart and patch me up, and then I was actually able to sit down and still eat this steak dinner. I still stayed out there for the night and had a pretty decent next day, even trying to do everything with my left hand in the air and then with my right hand doing everything else.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and then the week right after, the week after that, I went out for a solo overnighter, and all was good. But yeah, it was. Luckily, it's my left hand and not my right hand, so that makes it a little easier to try to avoid kind of bumping off of stuff and catching on stuff. And,
That's usually the way with a knife cut, right? I mean, you usually have the knife in your good hand, so it's usually the other hand that gets the cut. At least that's been true in my experience. So
I was mountain biking. I think I've told this to someone on this channel before, that I was coming downhill on my mountain bike at Bromo, bouncing around, and there was in mountain biking there's a term baby head, and that's for a rock about yay big, and my front tire bounced off. I don't know why I didn't see this damn thing. I mean, it was all rocks, kind of technical, and I'm like do, and then just it bounced and right. And so when I landed with the wheel this way, obviously it wasn't going to roll, so I went down hard and somehow landed in such a way that I had shin pads and knee pads on, and they got shunted aside, and the sprockets of my big chain ring went into my shin and scraped the bone. Did I tell you guys this? So I was like, well, my day's over, and my buddy was like, yeah, I think it is. So let's drop my bike at home, and then I'll drive you home. I said, fine. We got to his place, to drop his stuff off, and his wife came out and said, you guys broke Jesse. He said, yeah, I know, honey. Well, I'll tell you about it later. Took me home. I got in. The missus took one look at me, bleeding all over the front stoop. I said, how deep is it? And I said, I felt it scrape the bone. She's like, okay. Turn on the TV, sit down, and whatever you do, don't look at what I'm doing. And she got out like chemicals and Q-tips and tweezers and just got every last scrap of stone and dirt out of there and cleaned it up. I mean, I've still got a scar, but I'm really squeamish. Okay, so the entire time she was there, I'm like, I'm doing, this kind of thing on the couch. I'm doing like, this kind of thing, and trying to concentrate on whatever the hell was on. I have no idea. We didn't have like Netflix or anything yet, but it's like whenever I come home broken, she's like, sit down on the couch. Let me get a towel.
I think something I recently learned I probably inherited from my mother is in those situations a total lack of squeamishness, where I would just totally rather watch someone clean out my open wound and then patch it up. For some reason, once I hit that point, I have very few issues with kind of watching blood or wounds or whatever. I don't know.
No,
I think it's something that either gets passed on to you, or you just kind of learn to deal with through your life. I guess I don't know.
Well, it's very context based because I have a scar here that I got when I back in another life. I was working at Starbucks and cleaning out a ceramic cup, and the handle snapped off and the jagged edge cut like again really deep. Like I did this and I could see the muscle and everything, and I didn't really get squeamish on that one. There's something about feeling a sprocket scrape the bone and knowing about the oil and everything. Just and with other people, I'm squeamish as hell. If it's not one of my babies, because everything sort of shifts when it's the offspring, right? But I mean, man, I'm not good with playing with axes and saws. Not being good with that stuff is so terrible. But anyways,
Martin, yeah.
What was your stupid moment? I think I may have seen you post something about it, but I'd like to hear the story. Hi, Brandon. Welcome to the stream.
Yeah, I did post about it on Facebook and Instagram. It is not as amusing a story as Nate's, and I didn't have to be rescued. What happened was I was going on an overnight camping trip. What's that, Nate?
Just hold on a second. I love that.
I wasn't rescued. I got sift.
Nate had to be rescued.
Yeah, I didn't need an extraction the way Nate did.
Martin, from now on, what I know is that if I get into another situation like that and have service, I'm calling you.
That's fine. That would have been fine. Yeah, I gotta say though, I don't check my phone very often, and I always have it on Do Not Disturb. My wife is the only person who can call me, and where my phone will alert me if with a sound or a notification. So don't make me your only lifeline. But if I had seen it, I absolutely would have jumped in the car and brought.
If you get a Nate Muskoka shared your YouTube video notification, then it means I'm in trouble. Okay.
That's right.
Actually, Martin, now that I know that, because there's all kinds of times when I come across something kind of interesting and I want to like fire you a note about it, but I'm never sure what bedtime is for you. But if I know that your phone is not going to. Okay.
Anytime. My phone does not ring.
Okay.
If it rings, it's my wife calling, and I don't know why she's calling me because she's usually right next to me when I'm sleeping. So.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So what happened with me? Well, what happened was it was the first canoe trip of the season. It was just a shakeout. I always do an overnighter, a shakeout, a gear shakeout one, so that before I undertake a longer canoe trip where I'm going to be more remote, I'm going to know that, oh, shoot, I forgot to bring this or I forgot to bring that. So I always do like a quick overnighter if I can. So that's what I was doing. And it was a little Crown Land discovery that Nate made, and he had turned me on to it. He'd found this area of Crown Land that he wanted to explore, and he invited me to go with him, and we checked it out together. We found a number of places where we could make a camp. There were some established campsites there that had been, established by locals in the area. So on this occasion, I went on my own, and it was bug season. It was really bad. It was mosquitoes and black flies, about the worst part of the season, where the black flies were still thick and the mosquitoes were really starting to get thick. So, I had a bug paddle on and stuff like that. I paddle out to this place, and I go to my site and I set up my campsite and I clean it all up the way I want it. And I string my tarp, I pitch my tent, I hang my food, and now I'm gonna go and explore. And there was an area that Nate and I had wanted to explore that we never quite got to. Another lake that we talked about visiting, and I had noticed on the Crown Land Policy Atlas that there was this lake, and there was a lake beyond that, and I was really, really keen to get there and explore all that. So I start heading in that direction, but as I'm heading in that direction, I decide I want to re-explore an area that Nate and I had visited. And it winds its way off this lake into this narrow little creek where there's a beaver dam that takes you into another lake. You know, now I've done beaver dam liftovers a zillion times.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I'm in my little solo pack boat. It's a very narrow and fairly tippy boat, and it requires a little bit more care in getting in and out of it than a conventional canoe. So I get out of my canoe. I haul it over the beaver dam, and I don't know what possessed me to do this. I have never tipped my canoe, but I tipped it on this occasion because I did this unspeakably stupid thing. I know that I can't do this with this boat. I could do it with my prospector. I could stand up in my boat like this and then sit down, but not with this boat. This boat, when you get into it, you got to go in low. You got to keep your center of gravity low. Grab the gunnels, lower yourself slowly, or use your double-bladed paddle across the gunnels and brace with it so that you can't tip over. I didn't do that. I just stepped off the beaver dam onto the boat, and for a second, I was okay. And then it started to go, and I was slightly distracted at the time. I don't think it would have worked anyway, but it didn't help that I was slightly distracted, and I tried to sort of brace with my paddle. That didn't work. The boat went out from under me, and I went poosh into the water. But it's not like rolling your canoe in a lake. This is a beaver dam. And right around beaver dam, there's all this silt and goose shit and beaver crap and just crud. And the water is fairly shallow, maybe 3 feet of water, right? So when I get up, I look like I've been dipped in tar. I'm black. All my clothes is just black with this crap that's all stirred up. The inside of my boat is full of filth. Everything I own. Fortunately, all my camping gear was already back at camp, right? So that didn't happen, right?
Thank the gods.
But now I'm soaking wet. Now it's a hot day. It was a very hot day, blistering hot, in fact. So now I'm like, what am I gonna do? Like, I don't have any clean clothes. It's an overnighter. I didn't bring anything to change into. I had clothes. What did I have? I had rain gear. That was it. So what am I gonna do? So am I gonna pack out of here? Am I gonna? I can't go out like this, right? So I paddle out for it takes me about 20 minutes to paddle back to the lake, and I'm in just this stinky, full of animal filth, right? I'm paddling back. I get to the lake, and I get to an area where Nate and I had found an established campsite where he had taken a swim actually on that former visit when we'd been there together. I get there and I just get in the water and I take off all my clothes. I wash my clothes. I wash myself. I rinse out my boat. And then I realize I've got a problem. I have only wet clothes. Well, they're all quick drying clothes. They're all this sort of synthetic, quick drying clothes, very light. They'll dry very quickly.
I feel that's key when you're canoeing.
Oh yeah, I don't camp without quick drying gear. No cotton or anything like that. And there's this rocky point where that is serving as this massive thermal mass. Like to stand on this rock and at this temperature in full sun burns your feet. It's granite. It's really hot. Oh, this is perfect. I'm going to dry my clothes very quickly. So after I've washed my clothes, I wring it out and I throw it out on the rock. And it's kind of breezy, so I'm weighing it down with rocks and stuff like that. And my ditch kit, my bear spray, everything is all laid out there to dry in the sun. And it's going to dry fairly quickly. But I've got a problem. I've got to choose. I'm either going to bake in the sun, and I'm fishy white, right? I'm either going to bake like a lobster out here, or I'm going to get out of the sun, and then I'm going to get eaten alive by mosquitoes. And so it took about 90 minutes for all my gear to dry out, which is actually fairly quick. But I managed to get, about 100, bug bites and a sunburn for my student. Not a serious sunburn. Not a serious sunburn, because when the bugs started getting to me, I would get in the water and stuff like that. So I was going in and out, and I was sort of budgeting my time between shade and bugs and, buglessness and sunburn. And I just kept doing that. And then eventually my clothes was dry and I just went back. But this took long enough, this whole stupidity of mine. And it had cost me enough time that I could no longer explore the area that I had set out to explore.
All right.
And so that, my day is shot. So I just went back to campus and spent the rest of the late afternoon in camp, and then had supper. And I had a wonderful time. And it was really kind of fun, sort of having to say, well, what am I going to do about this now? How am I going to contend with this? And what are my options when I get back to camp? What have I got to wear, well, I don't have a change of underwear. I've got a change of socks, but I don't have pants or a shirt. And, I don't want to put on rain gear. It's really hot. I'm going to sweat like crazy in plastic rain gear. So I got to think of something else. And fortunately, it was warm and my gear was able to dry. So it was one of those things where the consequences were not going to be great. I just, it kind of blew my plans out of the water. But what was most galling about it was I knew it was dumb when I was doing it. Like, I contemplated it and I said, well, that's dumb. Oh, let's see if you can do it. Let's see if you can just get into this tippy boat from a standing position and then just sit your ass down in the boat without tipping. And as I was doing it, I knew it was dumb. So I knew before it was dumb. I knew as I was doing it was dumb. And I was so filled with remorse and shame when I ended up in the water and all this filth. I was like, what was I thinking? I was so mad at myself. And the other thing that galled me about it was that I have never accidentally rolled a canoe. I mean, I've been in rapids, like in whitewater courses and stuff like that, where you're rolling and that's expected, right? But in flat water conditions, even with people who are complete newbies and didn't know what they were doing, I have never rolled my canoe, not once. I've rolled my canoe plenty of times on purpose in rapids and in flat water as just as an exercise, to see if you can right your canoe and get back into it and stuff like that. But I've never accidentally tipped my canoe. I've always felt like, well, I've been doing this for like 25 years now, and I have never rolled my canoe accidentally. Well, I can't say that anymore.
Nope.
I spoiled my perfect record.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my stupid story.
That's a good one. I got a piss poor stupid story. I walked into we have a nature park here in Montreal. A couple of times the past week, I needed to go. Now that they're reopened, I needed to get my head on straight. And the first time, I bloody forgot the bug spray. I was like, "What the Christ?" And it's because my bag is seasonal. Okay. In the winter, there are certain things I always have in it. In the summer, there are certain things I've always have in it. This year, because of COVID, I never did the switch over. So I just, hey, it's June, whatever. I grabbed my bag and walked out. But I didn't do the cold weather to warm weather switch over, which includes inserting a thing of bug spray that will live there all summer. And it's just like, there's all kinds of little things like that it's complacency, right?
Yeah.
It's summer. My bag is always ready for summer by now. So I just grab it and go.
I did something like that today. It's really funny. So I don't ever have a bag that's all set. Partly for that reason, because I've made that mistake of misremembering what was in it, what I'd taken out or put into it. So I always start fresh with an empty bag and put everything in that I needed.
Okay.
So today I was going out to a little area of Crown Land just to spend a day in the woods. Just wanted to string my tarp, make a little campfire, enjoy a cup of coffee in the woods. And it was supposed to rain. I was really hoping it would rain. So I like that experience of making a campfire in the rain. So I set out to do that, but I get there and I realize, I don't have a bug hat. I don't have my bug mesh or anything like that. And it's really buggy. Black flies are over now, but the mosquitoes are thick.
Yeah.
Oh, damn, I can't believe I forgot this. And it's because, kind of like you, I thought I had a bug hat in my car. I always have a bug hat in my car. Okay. I have a whole bunch of stuff. I have a whole sort of bug out, kit in my car. But I went on a camping trip with a friend last week, and because I was going to leave my car parked on Crown Land near boat launch, I didn't want anything in my car that would be attractive to anyone that would sort of entice someone to break into it. So I took everything out of my car and I put it in my garage. Okay. And I forgot to put it back, so there was no bug. So I get out there, and the mosquitoes are driving me crazy. And I don't bug stress that easily, but man, they were really driving me crazy. And I got my tarp up and got a fire going in record time. I don't think I've ever gotten a tarp strung, like from ridge line to tying out the last corner in 3 minutes like this. It was a thing of beauty. It was so quick. It was so efficient. I was like, I was literally bragging about this on another live stream like 2 hours ago. I couldn't believe how fast I got this done. And I thought, well, how about that? My tarpology skills have really improved.
Yes.
Because this was a test. And part of the reason why I did it fast was the bugs were starting to get to me. And I heard thunder rumbling in the distance.
Oh,
and
yeah.
sure enough, I had just finished stringing the ridge line and I was getting the tarp out of the stuff sack when it started to rain. And I just threw it up really quickly and that felt good. But I was so annoyed, like, oh man, if this had been a camping trip and I'd forgotten my bug mash, that would have been really
horrible.
Pleasant. Yeah, because I mean, it's okay when you're under the tarp and you got the fire going that the smoke drives the bugs out and you're fine. But you can't live under your tarp or you don't want to live under a tarp the whole time, right? No. So it would have been really unpleasant. So.
And do you build a small fire under the tarp, or do you build a small fire or do you build your fire just outside the tarp?
No, if you do it outside the tarp, it'll get rained on and it'll be, if it rains hard, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And depending on how the angle of your tarp is, if it's outside, then it's good. That tarp is going to deliver a lot of water.
Yeah.
To your, so you'd have to angle it in such a way to do that it shed water away from it. So what I try to do is I try to make sure that my little fire is close to the edge of the tarp, but strictly speaking, it's underneath. And I don't use, unless I absolutely have to, I don't use any resinous woods. I don't use any conifers except to get it started because I don't want any embers and sparks and things like that.
Well, that was going to be my next question is like, how the hell does your tarp not full of little holes?
Well, because I don't make a big fire, because you don't need a big fire. Right. You need a big fire when you're a big family and you all want to get warm around the fire, right? Then you need a big bonfire. But otherwise, on a camping trip, my wife and I, we never, ever, ever make big fires, It's just a little fire to warm us and creates a microclimate. It just warms and dries the air under the tarp, drives out the moisture in cold and damp weather. And at this time of year, I mean, a tiny, tiny, tiny fire, like in my little Firebox Nano.
Yeah.
I use that like a smudging fire. Like I cook with it and, boil water for coffee with it. But I also use it just to have a little bit of a wisp of smoke coming out of it under the tarp, because as long as it stinks of smoke under your tarp, it doesn't have to be filled with smoke. It just has to smell of smoke. The mosquitoes will just get the hell out of Dodge. It just evacuate the area under your tarp. So you can move around under your tarp and you're fine. You step outside your tarp and they're right back on you, right?
Yeah.
And eventually a breeze comes through and it clears out the air, and then you got to, throw something in the fire again. So that's why I do that. I keep a little fire going, very small. And if it's small, it's not going to be spitting embers all over the place. And if you use hardwood, then really the coals burn long and slow and hot, and they don't explode because they're not filled with resin. But that's the resin that causes that popping,
It's funny because for me, a fire is it's a comfort thing.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't only make a fire for the utility. I like to make a fire because I get a real sense of whatever the hell bien-être is. Simo, well-being, I guess. Just sitting there and staring at a fire. And I like the little popping sounds and stuff because they've been there for my entire life. Of course, as I've grown to know what all the snapping and popping and embers can do to like my very expensive tarp, I try to look for woods that don't do that anymore. But I mean, for me, Martin, you know this about me. I think you once called me, or no, I think it was Kevin called me a romantic about this stuff.
No, that was me.
That was you. Okay. The connection aspect and the, I don't want to say mystical because no, but it's not all about the logical aspect of being there. To me, when there's a fire, I have a sense of place. And that I don't get when I just use my little nano stove, right? Because when I'm using my little nano stove or my little IKEA cutlery stove, those are both very utilitarian for me. those are task specific. I'm boiling water for ramen or tea or blah or blah or blah. But when I want that sense of space, a sense of place, I don't know any other way to describe what I'm trying to describe here.
Well, that's literally why I went there today. Is I just wanted to string my tarp and make a fire, and having a coffee is just sort of the
excuse.
The excuse, the pretext for making a fire. It's really about sitting in front of the fire, and the smoke, of course, drives out the bugs. So I mean, in this case, it was indispensable because I didn't have a bug mesh. But I mean, I hate having to wear a bug mesh, right? So I'll start a fire just so that I can take this thing off my head and breathe more easily and have a better view and not have it, somewhat obstructed by the mesh. And no, I absolutely know what you mean about that sense of space. There's something about a fire that I think is very, very ancient in us, and that makes us feel like we own the place.
Yes, exactly.
We make it ours.
Yeah.
And this is in part because it lights up the dark, and it keeps predators at bay, and it warms us. It boils our water. It cooks our food.
Yeah.
A hearth is home.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So it doesn't take long. Within minutes of having started a fire in an inhospitable place, you immediately feel better. I've read accounts of people who survived really harrowing experiences, sort of being lost and injured in the woods and stuff like that, separated from their parties and stuff like that. And the psychological benefits of merely starting a fire, if they know how, they have the means to do it. And if you can do that, man, you'll feel a lot better. You will not be so freaked out about being lost, because immediately that place, I'm home here. 20 yards that way, I'm lost again. But right here, I'm home. Things are under control, and you sort of feel like you're master of your own destiny as soon as you are tending a fire. There's something about tending a fire, and that sort of the experience of bush TV is automatically soothing. I think that's really primitive in us.
Yeah, I think so too. And I appreciate that kind of stuff as well. I've sort of hinted at this before or described it in, but I'm nuts about stuff that gives me a feeling of connection to the primeval in us. It's why my favorite fire starting method is flint and steel, because I can trace the history of it back to iron pyrites, tap, fuck, tap. Okay, now I've got, now I've lit this Amadou. I think I just said fuck. I did it twice. I'm not monetized, but I'm working on it, guys. So yeah, like that kind of stuff is an integral part of my feeling of being in the woods, of being away from modern accoutrement,
I know what you mean, Jess, and I don't know if anybody else does this when they're out in the bush, but I feel like if I get to a spot, I don't feel comfortable starting a fire until everything else is set up. Everything for me, I have to have everything set up perfectly, and then I feel comfortable lighting a fire. It can't be first and then I set everything up. It has to be, unless it's dark out or something. But for me, it has to be like I get to the spot, I set my tent up, and I gather fuel, and I place my stuff around where I want it to be placed, and then I feel comfortable starting a fire, because I think part of me starting that fire at that point is the start of kind of the more chill and the more relaxing and the more calm part of my experience at that spot. I can't do it in reverse. I can't get there, start a fire, and then set up my tent and inflate my sleeping pad and set up my sleeping bag. I can't do it. I don't know if anybody else does it in that order for any reason, but I find that with me, because I find it just that much more relaxing when I'm able to actually start my fire and then not have to worry about too much else.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is for me, with one little exception. If I'm with my wife and we've been canoeing for a long time and we get to a place, I'll start setting up the campsite. She'll get the firewood. At some point, one of us might get the fire going just so that we can get dinner underway, because it's time. But ordinarily, it's set up everything, and now let's enjoy the fire.
Yeah,
The first
I'm
thing,
with you
first thing I
guys.
do is the tarp, always. First and
Yes.
last thing is the tarp.
Absolutely, me too. I was going to say that to Nate as well, that I always do the tarp first, and I'm pretty sure that, like now I'm trying to think back, but I'm pretty sure that the fire is the last thing I do as well, because that's the reward, right? That's my favorite part.
Mhm.
So I understand you completely. I do want to say hi to Austin's Corner. He came on and said hi, and I do believe Outdoor Dauber. I'm pretty sure Austin's Corner is the one who was telling us about the Soviet watches. And Austin, if that is you, then you'll be interested to know that we chatted about that a lot after that night. And Outdoor Dauber was the first of us to actually. I think he received his today. Brandon Cosman he's agreeing with us because for me, when I was younger, Christ, I was even yesterday I was younger. Younger is such a BS term, but I feel that before I kind of settled into the way I do things now, I tried things in various different ways. I didn't decide to try it this way this time and that way the next time, but what I did realize pretty early on is that putting up my fire before I knew where my tarp was going to, like where my ridge line was going to be, caused me agony. Because once the fire is lit, trying to move it, I find very, very difficult. And because it's not only about getting embers onto your tarp, it's also about which way is the wind coming versus where are the trees that I can string this thing up to versus blah 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 blah. Right? Because I don't have hiking poles that I can use for my corners, and so I learned really early on anything that's got like if I'm just using a tarp, fine, tarp and tent, whatever, those have to go up first because that's what'll tell me where I've got room for a fire.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think that rewarding yourself with the best part last is a good way to do it, and it saves you from creating issues.
I think going back to something Martin had alluded to earlier, just with in doing kind of like a first outing to get your bugs out of your system and making mistakes and forgetting stuff is, I think this year it's been exceptionally more important to try to do that because I think our brains have been that much more cluttered with everything else that's been going on that we've had to kind of like make part of our reality and deal with on a day-to-day basis, that we haven't had the kind of the mental space to think about things as we might like to when we're first going out on that first outing or first overnight or first camping trip, because we've been so preoccupied and our day-to-day movements have been so kind of more carefully thought out that it's so much more easy to forget something or to forget about what we're doing or forget about something in the moment, because our mental our mental kind of space has been so taken up with so much other stuff lately, and so it's easy to me it's that much easier to kind of slip up or forget or like Martin said, he knew he shouldn't have been stepping into that canoe like he was, and I halfway through chopping my first potato, I said,
not a good idea.
I shouldn't be chopping this potato with this knife because it's way too big, and then I just did it anyway. So yeah, I think this is a good year to be taking kind of. It's not saying that everybody's going to be able to kind of like take a whole step back and replan and rethink everything they're going to do before they're going to do it, because the way we're all having to live right now just often doesn't allow for that. But that first kind of precautionary quick overnighter or day trip is that much more important, just to iron out the kinks, see what you forget.
You know what you're reminding me of? It's related, but it's not exactly the same as when Les Voyageurs were plying the rivers and trading furs and stuff. When they left a town, a settlement, an HBC station or whatever, that first day of paddling was always a shorter day, just in case they'd forgotten something.
Mhm.
You know, because man, those guys paddled far in a day
Yeah.
generally.
Yeah.
So they made the first one like a half day to
See if they had to go back.
yeah, because if they had to go back from a short day, fine. If they had to go back from like a full day of paddling, that's a drag.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting that even like we think of Les Voyageurs and the Coureurs des Bois and whatever the hell the American version is. Are they mountain men or something? We think of these guys as having it really dialed in.
Yeah.
But better safe than sorry. You know. I also want to say to those of you who didn't notice, Pine Martin said he's got to take off. He'll keep listening, but he says bye. Oh, and suddenly I'm solo. Now I'm wondering if that's because Nate's disappeared or if I have. Someone please tell me. Well, I think it was Nate because he's coming back on. What happened there?
Sorry about that. Sorry.
I wasn't sure if it was you or me because we had a thunderstorm earlier, so I wasn't sure if suddenly, like, if maybe a lightning had taken something out in my neighborhood or not.
Sorry. No, that was me. I'm trying to do things at the same time on my iPhone that I just shouldn't be doing. So, anyways.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But that's part of the reason I would love to see the chat that's going on, but I'm unsure how to do that while still maintaining my spot on the feed. So I'm sorry if I missed a good chunk of the live chat because that's all.
Now, okay, when I put something up on screen, you see that though, right? You see the Pine Martin messenger? Okay, so I'll just
see that. Yeah.
I'll just be very liberal with just popping stuff up then.
Perfect. Yeah, I think I might. I think tomorrow. It's pouring rain here right now, and I know there were people commenting on it on Dennis's show, and hopefully it's going to bring the water levels up around here because it's been definitely low for mid-June. So I'm hoping going into the end of June here, we're going to see the water levels come up a bit, and that of course is going to make a lot of backcountry travel a lot easier for people that are doing trips going into this week and this coming weekend.
Yeah.
So tomorrow I'm hoping to do a little bit of Crown Land exploring before I have to go back into work on Thursday.
Right. Oh yeah. Do you have Wednesday off?
I usually do either Tuesday, Wednesday off or Wednesday, Thursday off, depending on what I've got going on.
Okay. Wednesday we have a national holiday here.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's a Saint Jean Baptiste Day, or I think.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah,
the youngins call it Fête Nationale, but I grew up in the '70s, so Saint Jean Baptiste.
That's when I was in Katimavik. That's when all my French roommates would make me listen to Jean Leloup all day long.
Hey, Jean Leloup's good stuff. Okay, 50% of Jean Leloup's good stuff.
All right, I believe you.
So if I ever go on a canoe camp with you and my Martin, I know what music to bring. Little Jean Leloup, maybe a little Baton Souriante for that old school. I got your number. It's okay. I'll set it up.
Perfect. But yeah, you should. I hope you can get this way sometime because I think between Pine Martin or myself, there's at least a couple good one-nighter or two-nighters around here that are that you'd probably just absolutely love.
Yeah, I'm hoping to. Well, as I said, I was supposed to be there in May.
Yeah,
but then the world ended, right?
Yeah, and the bugs were absolutely wretched, to be honest with you.
Were they bad the first weekend of May?
Hmm?
Were they bad on the first weekend of May?
No, sorry. The first weekend of May, they actually weren't so bad. They weren't so bad until actually going towards the end of May because we had these weird kind of like it was cold and then it was really hot. And usually that procures a large harvest or a large crop of bugs, but this year, it being that early in the season, I think it actually killed a bunch off.
Okay.
So we didn't really see a lot of bugs around here until the end of May and going into the first couple weeks of June. So, and now, yeah, thankfully the black flies have backed off a little bit because a week ago or 2 weeks ago they were just absolutely just epic.
Yeah. I saw that in many people's posts. I would like to say that Mark is giving me more Quebec band suggestions to bring to you. Mark, I wanted to mention to you, as soon as I saw Harmonium, my band actually plays Pour un instant. And it's such an old, like 70s Quebec chansonnier song that I'm always surprised that the entire pub. We play in Irish pubs, by the way, Nate.
Okay.
So we do the Irish. But man, every time we kick into that song, I'm shocked at how many people know it. Maybe not in Ontario, but here in Quebec, you can be Irish up the wazoo, but you know that song. So it's just interesting.
I think when I spent a bit of time in Quebec, the only group I really got into, and this speaks to my age and the age I was at that time, was Dubmatique.
Okay. That's okay. That's fine. Martin, I used to know one of the guys from Offenbach a long time ago when I was working in a pub. He used to come in and he did like a solo thing every couple of weeks. They were also a very good. They were also a very good band.
I'll take your word for it. Or throw some on an MP3 player, and you and I will rebel against Martin and bring a speaker of some sort.
I'll make it a solar one.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so Mallory just dropped into to give us an update. It looks like vitamin E or B12 deficiency.
Ooh.
Well, the thing is that sounds like it would be fixable, right? I mean, vitamin deficiencies are. I don't know.
I know how to go to this store and get like a really good vitamin E supplement, but I have no idea how that would translate into getting that into chickens. So
yeah, no, that's the thing, right?
Yeah. Yikes.
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah.
But you know, someone out there has probably figured this out. You know, there's a vet in this town that specializes in birds and exotic animals, and I know people who brought fish to these guys. So, in my opinion, someone out there has figured out how to get a bunch of vitamin E and B12 into a bunch of chickens.
Absolutely, 100%.
I love this from Grace. When my son was a child, I told him that video games didn't exist when I was a kid. He said, "What did you do? No video games?" You know, my first computer was a VIC-20, and I had to. I had a book of programs, and some of them were games, and I had to type in all the code if I wanted to play a game. Mine had a tape drive, so I could save my games. But like, there was this game where I was a starship with an E because they couldn't say Enterprise, and you would move the E around, and then a K would come onto the screen, and you hit a button, and a hyphen would and kill the K. But that wasn't when I was a kid. That was when I must have been a teenager. I mean, the VIC-20 was already an old computer when I got it, because growing up poor gives you an appreciation for the shitty things in life. Like everyone else had like Commodore 64s by this point. But so to me, I still have this real warm feeling about those old 8-bit games and the little text-only games, because when I was a kid, and like I would sit there until 3 a.m, and then I'd finally hit end, type in end, and like, woo, I got to it. I got to the end. Now I can play the game.
Well, I was raised without television until I was 12 years old, so I know what that's like.
Yeah, we
no TV until I hit what grade are you in? Grade 12? 7?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, no TV till grade 7 for me. Which I didn't mind because I learned to read a lot at an early age, and that goes a long way. So.
Yeah, I was an avid reader as a kid too. First of all, because we didn't have any tech. Second of all, because I didn't have any friends. Okay, moving right along. A few guys at La Botte-Saint-Souriant used to live close to my house. Worst, I had Plume La Traverse brother as a science teacher. Plume La Traverse, man. Nate, I'm taking note of all these bands just for you. Plume
Well,
is
tell you what. Okay, so here's another good kind of backcountry topic, often controversial. What I will say is, if you bring a device that has those songs on it, and you would like to play them at the campsite, I do believe there's a certain time and place in the backcountry for music, and depending on the trip I'm going on, and depending on what I'm doing, I will often bring. I have a kind of bomb-proof, waterproof Bluetooth speaker made by Outdoor Technology. They're called, and I will sometimes bring that. It doesn't weigh much. It's not too big. But man, there's something really good about sitting down by a campfire by yourself and listening to Harvest Moon while the flames go up.
fair enough. I don't ever bring a speaker into the woods, but I could see that as soon as you mentioned that song and a fire. Yeah, I could see that being an ideal way to end the day.
Yeah,
hey, Elaine's here.
There's a time and place, and it does depend on the trip and the circumstances, but yeah. I'm not opposed to it. Like I know some others adamantly are. I think again it depends on the circumstance, but it can actually definitely add some good vibes and some ambiance into to what you're doing at any given time.
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. I just want to say hi to Alain. Alain, how's your brother doing? I'm thinking about him. Serge had to move during the whole COVID thing, so I can't imagine the drag that must have been.
Anyways, Jess, I still, believe it or not, I still have to take the dog for a walk. So I'm gonna have to do a lap around the block, as it were, here, and I really appreciate you having me on tonight.
All right, have a good one, Mister.
Okay, take care.
See you later. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I mean, we're coming down the home stretch here, anyway, guys. It's 19 minutes to the end of the show. But that was a cool conversation. I love hearing about people who are more accomplished than I am in the backwoods, making some silly mistakes, because at the end of the day, it's good to remember that you can be very, very experienced and still have a moment of, you just blank for a moment, or you make a mistake, or even as Martin was mentioning, like, geez, this is stupid. Why am I doing this? And you do it anyway. We have this concept. Not everyone here, but out in the world, there is a concept that you make mistakes, and that's how you learn, and then you become an expert, and then it's smooth sailing. And the fact is, it's not. You can be an expert and still have an off moment, and sometimes that off moment will result in you getting stitches, or you dunking yourself into a sludgy nightmare next to a beaver dam. And it's important to remember that when we're looking at, I think about this a lot, because there's a bass player, called Victor Wooten. He's probably one of the top 3 or 4 bass players in the world. Very, very creative, very skilled. I've been playing since God knows what, day one. And every now and again, he makes a mistake. And he runs a bass camp out in the forest, which I've never gone to because they're very expensive. And if I was to go to a bass camp, it might be his, because it's part living in the forest, part playing bass. But he's very open about the fact that he makes mistakes. And he said that on a bass fretboard, you're always, like, if you hit a wrong note, you're always within a half step of a right note. So just, slide up or slide down or whatever. And he's like, or just like own the mistake. Own the mistake. He says, man, sometimes I hit the wrong note, but you know what? I don't cringe. I hit a wrong note. People are still enjoying the song. Because here's the thing. A guitar player can make a mistake and what else? If a bass player makes a mistake, everyone in the room feels it or hears it, and it's an important thing to remember. And it's important for me to bring up this on like the bass playing side of my life, because at the end of the day, it's all the same stuff. What we enjoy doing with our time or where we feel our connection is very different. In fact, I posit to you that that is unique for every human being. But things like you develop your skills and every now and again you still make an oopsie, it's universal. That happens everywhere. And sometimes it happens because you had an off moment. Sometimes it happens because of design flaws. 3 Mile Island, for those of you who are old enough, that was the index case for, human error when you dig down deep enough is almost always a design flaw. That's kind of not where I wanted to go with this, actually. I started but I love knowing that, even Ray Mears makes a mistake every now and again. Even Les Stroud will make a mistake sometime. And these people are still very skilled. Making a mistake doesn't mean you're no good. It just means you made a mistake. That's where it ends. And it's key to me because I am the type of person who makes a mistake and feels like crap about it. Like, what? Stop. It was a mistake. It was a momentary slip. I made a mistake once that cost the company I was working at thousands of dollars. And I was like, I'm dead. It's over. And my boss was just very, very philosophical and said, you made a mistake. We'll figure this out. But if I make a mistake, I still stress about it, especially if it's in a work environment or people are depending on me and I make a mistake. I'm like, oh. But I'm working real hard at developing more of that philosophical view of it. But, look, it was a mistake. Because I'm good with other people in that case. If someone can't get a fire started, it's okay, man. Let me help you. Or, you want to, at the end of the day, if you really can't get it going, we'll just use these matches I brought. But for me, if I have to go to the matches, I feel like dirt about it. Why can't I give myself the same benefit of the doubt that I give other people? I don't feel that the person X doesn't know his stuff just because he can't get a fire started in the rain or in the wind or whatever. So I pitched a tent and it fell down, or like all these things. Like, I don't feel that these people don't know their stuff. If all they do all weekend is bugger everything up, then okay, we'll be like, you need some help here. But anyway, Mallory's out. I think that's because I think Tyler Woods probably got a live stream on. So all right, see you later, Mallory. I like this thing that Hawaii Volcano Squad says. Absolutely. Mark, I've never tried to surf ski. I have no idea what that is. Dr. Sharp was here. I didn't know that. Well, if you're still here, good night. Yeah, Brandon, yes, nice point. It can be a nice reality check, especially when you're out solo. It's very important to think about everything you were doing. Yeah. Very often when I make a mistake out in the bush, no. Period. Very often when I make a mistake, it's because I'm not feeling right. I'm tired, or I'm not, I'm feeling a little sick or something, and my head is just elsewhere. There we go. Okay. I'm just taking a look at the comments to make sure I'm not ignoring anyone. Yeah. I know. Anyways, moving right along. It was just important to say that I really enjoyed those stories tonight for that purpose, because those are both guys who I respect immensely as outdoorsmen, and they're both great guys on top of it. So it was really nice to hear those stories. And I remember I saw the Instagram or the Facebook feed about Martin's tip. I thought it was funny. And it's also really nice. it was really cool that he posted about it. Whenever I make a mistake, I try to post about it as well. I think it's classy. I think it's also important because even though I only have I have a small channel and stuff, I still get messages by people who sort of, I don't want to say look up to me, but look to me for, what do you think of this? Or have you ever done that? Or I'm having trouble with this or that. And because of that, if something doesn't work, I leave it on screen. Or in the Instagram world, if something doesn't work, I take a picture of it and say, hey guys, check this out. Doesn't always go to plan, or I'll Facebook about it. I love to own when I bugger things. For the reason that I just said, it's good to be sort of genuine or real or whatever, blah. But I did a video a long time ago. I could not get a fire started with ferro rod with natural tinders. I had used ferro rod for a long time, but always with like char cloth or charred wood or blah blah blah. But man, with hey, Martin's still here. Oh yeah, it's true. You said you were going to keep listening. Yeah, but it's truth. I don't feel that I'm necessarily being kind. I'm being absolutely truthful about it. I'm really glad that I know you guys. But where was I? Oh yeah, I've been really good with, I've got some charred wood or something, charred cloth, charred punk, fire started, but natural tinders that found stuff, I couldn't get started. I just couldn't do it. So I did a video about it. I said, look guys, I'm hurting here. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I thought I did, but something's not right. And I got a bunch of great suggestions, and now I can start a fire with a ferro rod using that found tinder, birch bark and all the usual stuff. So it's not only, I don't only owe it to the people who may look up to me, but I also feel that it can be beneficial in a personal development sense. Hawaii Volcano Squad, if you're building a bamboo observation tower, I am sure the views are going to be amazing. Did you I have a book about building, what is it? Shelters, shanties, and something. Shelters, piss. It's over there somewhere. But he goes into the 1940s Boy Scout way of building observation towers and stuff. And I'm wondering if you got your design from that, or if you just sort of pulled a design together, and how tall is it going to be and stuff. I would love to build an observation tower out in the woods just so that I can. I'm a fool for the vista. I could blow half an afternoon if there's a really nice view. I could just sit there and dream for a half an afternoon. Mark, having multiple ways to start a fire is handy, says Captain Obvious. Very handy indeed. And you always want to be prepared for if stuff just isn't working. You always want to make sure you've got a lighter or matches as a last ditch. I'm not afraid of a fire that's hard to light. I have a lot of patience for just working because I like the primitive method for itself rather than just for having a waterproof method of starting a fire. But after a certain point, I just okay, this isn't my day. All right, let's get the matches out. And it's nothing to be ashamed of. I don't like doing it, but it's nothing to be ashamed of. It doesn't mean you can't start a fire. It just means you're having an off day. I was looking for my water with my Canoe Hound sticker upon it still. Oh, okay, Hawaii. Yeah. That's a classic movie. Brandon says, that's why I always build my fires with limited supplies. The less you rely on fire starters and matches, the better you'll be in less than ideal situations. Yeah, I buy that as well. I believe that. Yeah. I think one thing that I need to practice a lot more is using bare minimum stuff when I'm in the woods. Like maybe have a well-appointed bag with me, but making it a point of, excuse me, like separating out just a real bare minimum fire kit and like a wool blanket and a tarp kind of thing, or just like really getting more skilled at the bare minimum aspect of bushcraft. I have over the years been trimming back what I cart into the bush with me, but not with an eye of going really minimalist. It was just to sort of reduce the weight. One of the things I like about having, a good knife is that this is more than one tool in one. And I like any tool that I can just reach for multiple different jobs. I know it's not a Canadian belt knife, but I can still baton with this. If I'm splitting wood, I can obviously carve and chop and blot, right? You can chop with these and carve notches and all kinds of stuff, food prep. But you can also, if you've got some cedar bark, flip this baby over and scrape the bark into like a thin kind of fluff. I tend to, I used to try to use the back of the knife on birch bark as well, but the belly here, I just sort of stand up and scrape. The belly is a lot more useful than the 90 degrees over here. Fatwood I always do off the back of a knife. I like tools where, I can even like bash nuts or whatever with the pole at the end here. I like tools that do more than one job. I'll always have a backup knife in my bag, but it won't come out unless something happens. Like I'll have a Mora. In fact, what I usually have is, I'm sorry guys, I have this baby here on my belt and the Garberg in my bag, because as far as a backup knife goes, that thing is rock solid. And so that allows me to reduce the number of things I have in my pack, lighter pack, smaller pack, it works for me. Hold on. You know what I do? I bring plane shavings for my workshop. I almost always work with pine wood. And man, they light beautifully. They're paper thin, but they don't like and disappear. They burn for a while. They give me some time to get some stuff in there and get it started. But if I'm out in the woods, I will try to work with just found stuff first if I can. But I do like to have my plane shavings as a backup. Martin had an off day trying to go to bow drill fire last March on a winter camping trip. I have never, ever been successful at hand drill or bow drill. I'm going to one day really, no, I'm going to do this. I haven't had that mindset switch yet. By twirling one branch in another branch? How does that work? Brandon too. He says he needs to practice. Yep. Martin, here's an interesting question for you. What woods were you using, from home or fresh harvested? I think that there's a whole segment of the population out there that say that, look, if you can't find your wood out there and use it, then what's the point? I think that at least for the first little while, I would just bring wood from home that I know and that has, excuse me, and that has a proven history to it. Freshly harvested balsam fir. Ah, man, I love balsam fir. I love the smell. I love those little blisters that are full of that sap that you can use for everything. Well, we're at 11 o'clock, folks, so I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to go to bed because, you know, I got to be up early for nothing tomorrow because it's Saint Jean Baptiste. So, but I'm still going to keep to the 11 o'clock closeout. So thanks to my guests tonight for jumping on. That was great. And thanks to all you guys for keeping the conversation going in the side chat. That was great. Thanks to Hawaii Volcano Squad for bringing a very different countryside to the conversation. Because, I mean, he gets to work with bamboo, and he's got some jungle, and he's just bought a house that's partway up a volcano. And, you know, that's completely different from my entire experience. So thanks for hanging out with us, Hawaii. And everyone, so good night to everyone, and Bon Saint Jean. See you later.